Phyllis offers Victor a deal, and Jack tries to play Patty. At the athletic club, Chelsea worries to Adam that Victor's plan to get Newman back has hit a dead end. As they go over the effect this is having on the family, she reminds him of how proud he's made his pater. They worry that Connor may be stuck living off love alone and joke about Adam being a card wolf in Las Vegas, and the idea of her returning to her con game. We wish. Warning Phyllis. In Phyllis's office, Billy blurts out that Victor has kidnapped Jack. Phyllis scoffs. Victor California and indeed come up with anything original and is formerly and repeats. Billy reminds her how important Victor hates Jack and demands the contracts within an hour. Billy also warns Red that she doesn't want to see what will be if he doesn't. Oh, another vague trouble. Jack contends with Patty. On the yacht in Lake Michigan, intern Jack is shocked to see Patty out of the psychiatric sanitarium and in beast print. She assures him she comes in peace, claiming to have been rehabilitated. She's heard that Jack is back with Diane, so he must believe in redemption. Patty Jack. When Patty claims she wants to free both of them, he's skeptical to say the least. Patty explains she just came to check on him, but will be back. She leaves and locks the door. Jack paces the room until Patty returns with a wain of food and drink. He refuses to touch it, so she offers to be his taster so he can be sure he's not being poisoned. She launches into a speech about the hard work she did to eventually face the heinous effects she did to him and his sisters. After accepting her brutality, she realized that she could rebuild herself and be mortal again. Victor laughs off Phyllis's offer. Phyllis shows up at the estate, asking Victor what's really passing with Jack. He won't explain, so she informs him Billy doesn't control Chancellor. She does. However, it's going to have to be with her if he wants to negotiate for Jack. Smirking, Victor makes it clear that this isn't a concession. She doubts he's really going to bury Jack in a hole. He warns that she's putting the Abbott in peril. When she offers him Chancellor in exchange for Jack, Lily, and the halves, he laughs and questions why she's paying in so presto. She claims it's because she's a good person, which he finds hysterical. Victor Phyllis Y&R Billy offers Victor a deal at Society. Billy updates Diane and Kyle on his exchange with Phyllis. Diane is shocked that Phyllis seems so reticent to help save a man she was formerly married to. Billy can't help but wonder if Jack really isn't in peril. They've no evidence. Billy Y&R Kyle suggests they turn to Victoria for help, but Billy's skeptical. When Billy points out he could lose everything due to the trouble, bickering ensues. Grudgingly, Billy textbooks Victor and offers to get him Chancellor if he provides evidence that Jack is safe. The final scenes at the club, Adam and Chelsea decide that their days of grifting are over. It'll take a lot further than this reversal to shoot them back to their old ways. Well, that's too bad. We need Adam's dark side back. Find out why then. Narrowing her eyes, Chelsea warns that she will, still, do whatever it takes to get their son what he deserves. Adam Chelsea Y&R back at the estate. Phyllis admits to Victor that she wants her kiddies to love and admire her. He can understand that, but he doesn't trust her. He asks for an hour, and she questions why he'd want to stay. He doesn't trust her. Victor tells her to draw up the papers and they'll see. Eventually, he warns that the deal is off if she tries to negotiate again. Victor Phyllis Y&R at Society, Diane and believe they're depending on Phyllis's humanity to get Jack back. Billy gets a communication from an unrecorded number with a picture of intern Jack on it. Your move. Kyle Diane. On the yacht, Jack tells Patty he could see his way to forgiving her, but he'd need her to get him to shore. Suffing, she admits he hasn't lost his charm, but that's not an option. She's not the bone in charge. In the glittering yet tension-filled world of the young and the restless, alliances are fragile, secrets run deep, and every conversation carries the weight of hidden motives. The drama begins at the elegant lounge of the Genoa City Athletic Club, where Chelsea Lawson sits across from Adam Newman, her brows furrowed with concern as they discuss the growing crisis that threatens the entire Newman family. The atmosphere in the club is polished and calm, but beneath the surface their conversation carries a sharp edge of worry. Chelsea confesses that the situation involving Adam's father, Victor Newman, seems to have reached a dead end. Victor's relentless quest to reclaim control of the Newman Empire has pushed him into dangerous territory, and now the fallout is touching everyone in the family. Adam leans back in his chair, his expression thoughtful, as Chelsea reminds him that despite their complicated history, Victor has always been proud of him in his own guarded way. That pride has shaped so much of Adam's life, sometimes inspiring him, sometimes haunting him. Chelsea gently points out that Adam has proven himself more than once, rising above expectations even when his father refused to acknowledge it outright. Yet their conversation quickly shifts to something more personal, their son, Connor Newman. Chelsea worries that Connor might grow up in a world where love is abundant, but stability is fragile. She half jokes that if things get worse, Adam might have to return to the life he once flirted with in Las Vegas, hustling high-stakes poker tables and living off charm and cunning. Adam laughs quietly at the idea, picturing himself as a card shark again, bluffing his way through smoky casinos. Chelsea teases that if that happens, perhaps she'll return to her old con artist tricks too, slipping back into the clever schemes she once mastered. The thought briefly lightens the mood between them, but both know the truth beneath the humor. Those days nearly destroyed them. They've worked too hard to build something real together. As they fall silent, the weight of the present crisis creeps back into the room. Across town, in the stylish office of Phyllis Summers, chaos erupts when Billy Abbott bursts through the door with a shocking accusation. His voice is tight with urgency as he blurts out the news. Victor has abducted Jack Abbott. For a moment, Phyllis simply stares at him, then scoffs loudly, shaking her head in disbelief. To her, it sounds like another one of Victor's melodramatic power plays. She mocks the idea that Victor could even come up with something original anymore, suggesting he's just recycling old grudges and tired vendettas. Billy, however, is in no mood for sarcasm. He reminds Phyllis how deeply Victor despises Jack and how far he has gone in the past to eliminate his rivals. Billy insists that if Phyllis truly controls the future of Chancellor, she must produce the contracts within the hour, because Victor is demanding leverage. Billy's warning hangs in the air like a thundercloud. He tells Phyllis that she doesn't want to find out what will happen if Victor's patience runs out. His threat is deliberately vague, but the implication is unmistakable. Jack's life could be in real danger. Phyllis narrows her eyes, refusing to show fear. For years, she has navigated the ruthless currents of Genoa City, and intimidation rarely works on her. Still, somewhere deep down, the possibility that Jack might truly be a hostage unsettles her more than she wants to admit. Meanwhile, far from the comfort of Genoa City, the missing Jack Abbott finds himself imprisoned aboard a sleek yacht drifting across the cold waters of Lake Michigan. The cabin where he is held is luxurious yet suffocating, its polished wood and soft lighting unable to disguise the reality that he is a prisoner. When the door suddenly opens, Jack turns in shock to see a familiar and deeply unsettling face, Patty Williams. She stands in the doorway wearing an outrageous animal print outfit, her smile bright yet unpredictable. Jack can hardly believe his eyes. Patty had been confined to a psychiatric facility after years of erratic and dangerous behavior. Seeing her here, free and apparently involved in his captivity, sends a chill down his spine. Patty quickly assures him she comes in peace. She insists she has been rehabilitated, claiming that therapy has helped her confront the darkest parts of herself. According to her, she has worked tirelessly to face the terrible things she once did to Jack and his family. She even references his renewed relationship with Diane Jenkins Abbott, suggesting that if Jack can believe in Diane's redemption, perhaps he might believe in hers as well. Jack listens with skepticism, his instincts telling him not to trust a word she says. Patty speaks with an almost childlike enthusiasm about freeing both of them from the past, but Jack senses that something more complicated is happening. When Patty abruptly leaves the cabin, locking the door behind her, Jack begins pacing restlessly. Minutes later she returns, pushing a small cart filled with food and drinks. She cheerfully offers him a meal, but Jack refuses to touch anything. Patty, eager to prove her sincerity, volunteers to taste the food first so he can be sure it isn't poisoned. As she samples the dishes dramatically, She launches into a long confession about the painful self-reflection she endured during her treatment. She speaks of confronting the monstrous things she once did, crimes that haunted Jack and his sisters for years. By acknowledging her own inhumanity, Patty claims she discovered a path back to being human again. Jack listens carefully, studying her expressions for signs of manipulation. Whether her transformation is genuine or another illusion remains impossible to tell. Back in Genoa City, the tension escalates when Phyllis storms into the sprawling estate known as the Newman Ranch to confront Victor directly. She demands to know what is really happening with Jack. Victor, ever composed and intimidating, refuses to provide a clear answer. Instead, he reminds her that in matters of power and leverage, information is the most valuable currency. Phyllis counters by revealing that Billy does not truly control Chancellor, she does. If Victor wants to negotiate for Jack's safety, he will have to negotiate with her. Victor responds with a slow, amused smile. To him, this situation is not a negotiation at all. It is a demonstration of power. Phyllis challenges him, doubting he would actually bury Jack somewhere and let him disappear. Victor's eyes harden as he warns that Phyllis is playing a dangerous game and putting Jack's life at risk with her defiance. Then she makes a shocking offer. She is willing to hand over control of Chancellor in exchange for Jack's freedom, as well as the safe return of Lily Winters and her twins. Victor bursts into laughter, clearly suspicious. He questions why Phyllis would surrender so quickly if she truly held the advantage. She claims it's because she is trying to be a good person, a statement that Victor finds utterly hilarious given her long history of schemes and betrayals. Elsewhere at the stylish restaurant society, Billy gathers Diane and Kyle Abbott to discuss the crisis. Diane is appalled that Phyllis seems reluctant to act decisively to save the man she once loved. Billy admits that part of him wonders whether Jack is truly in danger or whether Victor is orchestrating an elaborate bluff. After all, they have no concrete proof of Jack's captivity. Kyle suggests they should approach Victoria Newman for help, believing she might influence Victor. Billy is skeptical, pointing out that Victor rarely changes course once he commits to a strategy. The conversation quickly devolves into frustrated bickering about what to do next. Finally, Billy sends Victor a message offering a bold deal. If Victor provides proof that Jack is alive and unharmed, Billy will secure control of Chancellor for him. The offer is risky and potentially ruinous, but Billy believes it may be the only way to force Victor's hand. Meanwhile, back at the athletic club, Adam and Chelsea reach an emotional conclusion of their own. They acknowledge that their past lives, filled with deception, grifting, and manipulation, are behind them. No matter how desperate things become, they refuse to return to those dark habits. Chelsea's voice softens as she says that their son deserves a future built on honesty and stability. Yet, she also makes it clear that if someone threatens Connor's future, she will do whatever it takes to protect him. Adam recognizes the fierce determination in her eyes and realizes that the old Chelsea, the fearless strategist, still exists beneath the surface. At the Newman Ranch, Phyllis finally admits to Victor that her motivations are not entirely strategic. She wants her children to respect her and believe she is capable of doing the right thing. Victor surprisingly understands that desire, but he remains deeply suspicious of her intentions. He agrees to consider her offer, but demands that she draw up the necessary documents within an hour. If she attempts to renegotiate or manipulate the terms, the deal will be cancelled immediately. Phyllis leaves the ranch with a mixture of determination and anxiety, knowing that every move she makes could determine Jack's fate. Back at society, Diane's patience is wearing thin. She cannot believe that Jack's life now depends on Phyllis acting with compassion rather than calculation. Just as despair begins to settle in, Billy receives a message from an unknown number. When he opens it, the room falls silent. The message contains a photograph of Jack sitting in captivity aboard the yacht. Beneath the image is a short, chilling message, "Your move." Kyle and Diane exchange stunned looks, realizing that Victor, or whoever is orchestrating this, has just raised the stakes dramatically. On the yacht drifting across Lake Michigan, the psychological battle between Jack and Patty continues. Jack carefully chooses his words, telling Patty that he might one day find it in his heart to forgive her. But true forgiveness would require a meaningful gesture, like helping him escape and reach the shore safely. Patty sighs wistfully, almost touched by his charm. For a moment it seems as though she might consider the idea. Then her expression shifts, and she gently explains that helping him escape is impossible. She is not the one truly in charge of this operation. Her words hang in the air like a dark omen. Jack realizes that Patty, unpredictable as she is, may only be a piece of a much larger scheme. Somewhere beyond the yacht's quiet cabin walls, someone else is pulling the strings, and that person may be far more dangerous than Patty Williams ever was. As the waves of Lake Michigan lap softly against the hull and night begins to fall, Jack understands that his survival will depend on his ability to outmaneuver not just Patty, but the unseen mastermind behind his captivity. And back in Genoa City, every alliance, every negotiation, and every desperate gamble is racing toward a confrontation that could change the lives of the Abbott and Newman families forever. The tension surrounding Jack's disappearance continues to ripple across Genoa City, pulling every major player deeper into a dangerous web of strategy and emotion in the young and the restless. Inside the refined dining room of society, the atmosphere grows increasingly tense as Billy Abbott stares at the photograph on his phone again and again. The image of Jack Abbott sitting captive in a dim cabin is enough to erase any lingering doubt. Whatever game is being played, Jack is very much in the middle of it. Across the table, Diane Jenkins Abbott grips the edge of the table, trying to steady her breathing as the fear she has tried so hard to suppress finally breaks through. Diane whispers that the picture proves Jack is alive, but it also proves he's in real danger. Billy nods grimly. Whoever sent the photo wanted them to see it, not just as proof, but as pressure. The short message beneath the image, "Your move," is clearly meant to push Billy into action. Sitting beside them, Carl Abbott feels the same cold realization settling in. If this situation truly involves Victor Newman, then every step forward must be calculated carefully. Victor never reveals all his cards at once, and anyone who assumes they understand his strategy usually finds out too late that they were only seeing a fraction of the plan. Kyle suggests again that they should bring Victoria Newman into the conversation. She may not always challenge her father directly, but she has influence that few others possess. Billy rubs his forehead, torn between skepticism and desperation. Victor's empire runs on loyalty and fear, and Victoria has always balanced both in her relationship with him. If she intervenes, it could help, or it could make the situation worse if Victor feels betrayed. The conversation grows heated as Diane insists that waiting any longer is unacceptable. Every minute Jack remains missing is another minute he could be in danger. While the Abbott family struggles to determine their next move, the quiet waters of Lake Michigan conceal the isolated yacht where Jack remains a prisoner. Inside the small cabin, the atmosphere has shifted since Patty's confession. Patty Williams moves about the room with restless energy, rearranging items on the food cart as if trying to distract herself from Jack's probing questions. Jack watches her carefully, sensing that beneath her eccentric behavior lies a fragile emotional balance that could tip in either direction. Jack decides that if he wants to survive, he needs to keep Patty talking. He gently asks about her time away, about the therapy she claims changed her life. Patty's expression softens, and for a moment the wild intensity in her eyes fades into something more vulnerable. She describes long hours spent confronting her past, listening to doctors explain the damage she caused and the pain she inflicted on people who once cared about her. She admits that hearing those truths was agonizing, but it also forced her to face the reality of what she had become. According to Patty, acknowledging that darkness allowed her to begin rebuilding herself piece by piece.